Hi folks, Uncle Griff, Uncle Griff's Golden Age Comics here. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about war bond and war stamp comics from World War II. But before we get into it, I figured I better tell you a little bit about the war bonds and what they were for. Primarily, they were for fundraising. The total cost of the war in 1945 dollars was a little over $300 billion for World War II. There were 8 war bond drives, the first of which was May 1941, and the last was in the late 1945. And war bonds were sold in denominations of between $25 and $1,000. Now, not everybody could afford that, so they would sell stamp books, kind of like the green stamps we used to have when we were kids. And those stamp books would be in 10-cent, 25-cent, and $1 denominations. And they would be filled at 75% of their value. So if you filled the 25-cent version for $18.75, you could turn it in for a $25 war bond. There were contests between cities and towns all over the country to compete to see who could raise the most money. Celebrities would do war bond drives. And by war's end, over 85 million people had purchased war bonds. That's more than half the country. $185 billion were raised through stamps and bonds. When it comes to comics, when I started writing this, I thought it was going to be an altruistic thing. Hey, let's win for our country. Let's go do the right thing. Nope. Turns out that's not what happened. When I looked into why comics were doing war bond covers and war bond stories, what I found out was the Writers' War Board, WWB, was an independent organization. They were funded by the Federal Office of War Information. They established a comics committee, and that committee provided publishers with specific characters and storylines and themes designed to drive war bonds and sales. Most of the major publishers participated, so we get war bonds from Batman, Superman, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Spy Smasher, and many, many others. Now, I tried to figure out what was going on with it and found out that WWB, they had incentives. During the war, wood pulp was essential for paper, and it was strictly rationed. Publishers who would cooperate with the WWB by printing those sanctioned, or excuse me, the propaganda, would get their rations for their books. You didn't print their war bond stories, you didn't get paper to print your books. Pretty straightforward. By 1943, one of the more interesting things that I found out was comic books had become the U.S. Army's largest institutional customer. Millions of copies were sent to troops overseas, further reinforcing the bond between comics and the national war effort. And during this video, I've been showing you some pictures of those different comics. I want to show you one of mine. I have this book, and you can see the war bond cover right here from Don Winslow. I think every major character got assigned to do that, which is pretty cool. So, what's your favorite war bond cover that you saw floating by the screen here? Do you have any war bond covers? Let me know. That's it for the war bond stuff. I'm going to do a little bit of personal notes. Little changes in the lighting here. I'm going to work on it some more. Little changes in camera angle. I'm going to work on that. And I've got a better camera. As soon as I find and can afford one, it's going to be coming down the pipe for us too. Hopefully that'll make things a little better here. And last but not least, I have a mini unboxing to do. Yay! So this is from the Sergeant's Trunk. They're out of Maryland. They specialize in articles from the war era, and I was able to find one for my upcoming Ritter and Gaboy series. They sent it to me in an envelope, which scared me at first, but looks like they packed it okay inside. Ooh, they even put it in wax paper. Yep. This is the article from our Navy on Ritter and Gaboy and the comics that they made. Looking forward to telling that story as soon as I pick up a couple more of their books. And not sure what this is. It's got an eBay label, so who knows. Oh, I think I got to break out the scissors for this one. It's almost like Christmas every time you get to do this, isn't it? Oh, I know what this is. So I'm getting ready to tell. Matter of fact, it should be next week's episode. My first artist episode we're going to do on Will Eisner. And everybody knows the Spirit comics and the things he did there, but I wanted to talk some about the stuff he did for the military. After he got done with comics, well, he was still doing comics. He was also working with the military. And he did this along with a bunch of other things. This is the cleaning manual for the M1A1 rifle. And this was 1969, still in the bag. Can you believe that, from 1969? It's got the military stamp on it. They were having trouble with the M1 and the troops and taking care of it and a few other issues, and we'll get into those next week. So they asked him to do a magazine or a short comic on the M1 and how to treat it and take care of it. We'll cover that next week. Anyway, guys, till I see you next week, have a great one. Hopefully I'll get the camera situation worked out a little better by then. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.